challenges, opportunities, and approaches. By continuing the session of exchanging knowledge, information, and so on, we have our keynote speaker, Mr. S.N. Panigrahi. I would like to introduce him in few words possible. He is an international business consultant, corporate trainer, mentor, author. He has diverse experience and expertise in handling multiple mega practices, projects, EPC contracts, RDIC, terms of contract, Agile lean practices, ZDD, consultant, Six Sigma supply chain and logistics, procurement and contracts, GST and foreign trades. He has a corporate experience of over 30 years. He served in large organizations like Aditya Birla, Zindal, Bhushan, Somani Group. His last assignment was with HSIL Limited as Vice President, Commercial. He is an electrical engineer. He is a certified PMP, PMI USA, and became PMI India champion in 2016. He is an authorized training partner, instructor of Project Management Institute, USA. He delivered more than 250 workshops globally on various topics associated with IIFT, RO, ASCI, FTCCI, MSME, and ALFAP. He published more than 500 articles, more than 100 YouTube presentations, and 140 slideshows. So by this record, we can already assume that he is himself a biggest source of knowledge and information. So handing over this session to Mr. S.N. Panigrahi so he can deliver his lecture. All stage is yours, sir.
Thanks, madam. I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, sir, you are audible and your slides are visible.
Screen also visible. Then good.
Yes, sir, we can see.
So,
yes, sir.
So good evening to all of you. Let us start the session now, because the session duration is just 1 hour. So instead of wasting much time, let us start the session directly. And today's session, as madam told, is we are talking about the supplier quality management, SQM, is the basis of effective supply chain management. This is the topic on which we will now deliberate. Of course, initially I will discuss, I deliberate. Then, of course, at the end of it, we can have a interactions, question answer session. So as a ground rule, I request all of you mute your mics. Of course, you will be opportunity, you have an opportunity at the end of session, so we can interact. But meantime, I request all of you to mute it. Now let us start with this. And before starting, I will show you a small a video. This is about the 1986 Challenger Space Shuttle explosion. That is a disaster happened. So that video I'll show you briefly.
It was a bitter cold but sparkling clear morning at Cape Canaveral. Here at the last seconds of the countdown.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
All the communications between the shuttle and mission control indicated everything was going fine. There was a sense of relief that the much-delayed flight was finally underway.
Engines at 65%, 3 engines running normally, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good APUs. Engines throttling up, 3 engines now at 104%.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
It happened just over 1 minute into flight.
1 minute, 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
From mission control, silence. Then the bland, chilling report.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. Flight director confirms that. We are looking at checking with the recovery forces to see what can be done at this point.
Slow motion. A search effort couldn't begin for some 15 minutes after this. Debris, they said, just kept raining from the sky. The head of the space shuttle program had no explanations, just sorrow at the tragedy.
At 11:40 a.m. this morning, space program experienced a national tragedy with the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger approximately a minute and a half after launch from here at the Kennedy Space Center.
Computer-enhanced video shows the explosion in detail. What explosion appears to happen at the rear of the spacecraft around the main engines, perhaps in one of the two solid rocket boosters. Then a blast higher up. The shuttle was instantly a blazing fireball. NASA has appointed a committee of top engineers and scientists to investigate the catastrophe. Orders have been issued to impound all records concerning the flight, down to the personal notes of all the flight controllers.
Okay. See, this is one of the major explosion happened, space explosion. The reason behind it is just a O-ring not function well. The O-ring supplied by one of the supplier at given certain temperature conditions, it's not worked well, so that disaster happened. Okay. So the essence of it is the supplier quality is essential part of it. Why it is happened, and of course this is one more. That's the same thing. The subtle what is happened. The O-ring is not function well at given temperature conditions. So therefore, there is a leakage happened. So that is the blast is that is the reason for behind it. Then another I will of course this is German drug related issue. Of course I will skip it because the time is short. So I will show you some other. Yeah. Another you must have heard of also. This is in 2010. A major disaster happened about this oil spillage in the Mexican Gulf. So let us see the video.
I'm Donald Bosch. I'm emeritus professor at the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science, and I served on the President Obama's Oil Spill Commission after the Deepwater Horizon blowout. The drilling rig, Deepwater Horizon, was drilling a well for BP, and it was in about a mile deep water. BP and the rig operator, Transocean, were completing the well and made a series of misjudgments. Ultimately, the result was something like 4 or 5 million barrels of oil were released into the Gulf of Mexico. What happened in 2010 was really the outcome of a series of mistakes and neglect that took place long before. There were mistakes made in estimating the probability of an impact and making sure that there was adequate government oversight. There were problems with the blowout preventer that was supposed to make it very unlikely that there could ever be a blowout. We recommended that the government's programs within the Department of the Interior should be reformed to separate out the Safety Bureau from that responsible for the not done. My concern now, though, is with the deregulation, the rolling back of some of these safety rules that we see in the Trump administration that has occurred. One is that there is a very important thing of maintaining the proper safety margin in the drill, in the pressure that you see down in the deep in a well, and they relaxed that requirement. Secondly, I mentioned the blowout preventers. Turns out the blowout preventer in Deepwater Horizon hadn't been inspected and it wasn't working right. So this administration rolled back the requirements that there be third-party, independent inspection of blowout preventers. Finally, a third example is the requirement to have continuous 24/7 onshore monitoring by technical people onshore who are watching. I think there
Okay, this is another explosion happened, oil explosion. Of course, there is a lot of oil spillage happened in the Gulf, Mexican Gulf. The reason behind it is the cement what the contractor used, it is not of good quality. And then after a lot of technical flaws also happened about the testing and about the design parameter also, not much of the tolerance is given. So this is the reason why it happened. Means suppliers related, quality related, I'm talking about. The topic today we are is suppliers quality. Okay. So if the suppliers quality is not good, then what is the disasters happened? Just I want to make you realize that. And another subtle, Colombia, of course, Indian lady was there. She was a Chawla, and she also not live in that settled disaster. Just before, few minutes before the landing, some disaster happened. What is the disaster? What is the reason behind it? Some of the foam pieces are come out, which like insulating, observing the insulated fuel in the tank here, that is come out, and as a result, the leakage happened. So there's a blast. So again, this is about the quality related of the items being used in the shuttle. Okay. And of course, these car recalls are very frequent phenomena all over the world. And one of the incident I'll show you what is the reason behind it. This is about the Toyota. Toyota is a good name synonymous with quality. And most of the quality gurus and quality concepts are emerged from the Toyota. But in US, this incident happened. This is about the means the floor mat is there. The floor mat dimension little bit exceeded, so that when there's a accelerator means pressed and is not again coming out properly. It is not, because once it is pressed, after that it has to come up, but it's not happened because of the excess that floor mat is preventing that movement, and as a result, some accelerated incident has happened. Then they're forced to withdraw almost like 2 million vehicles in US. And this vehicle car recalls is very regular phenomena in all over the world. The reason behind is again quality of the supplier. In the Toyota case, I have shown to you, just is a small item, non-critical item. There is only floor mat. But because of that, such a major cost impact happened on the Toyota and also its reputation. And in fact, every year, millions of cars have been called back. In US case, I'm talking about, which is so-called a very advanced nation. And there itself, this many car recalls happening. So the reason behind again is the supplier's quality. Okay. So similarly, another supplier's quality related, I've told you, service related now. One of the truck, for example, the wheels after the servicing, those not properly tightened. With the required torque, it is not applied. As a result, on the drive, the wheels are come out, and that is that they so means that required the speed, that acceleration is so high, so that it impacted many of the other vehicles. It is fallen on another vehicle, SUV, and it's damaged badly. You know how it is looks. So it is the quality of the service or goods, both from the suppliers, impacts your business. So now coming to say a concept, there is one side the inputs from the various suppliers. Of course, inputs from your own organization, like employees' skills, their knowledge, or their employment of the the knowledge or trainings, or their operations, also calls an input. And there's a process, and process in that inputs have been converted into output. Then output we are seeing as a result, like products, services, information, results, outcome, deliverables, what are things we are talking about, those are outputs. Here, what is important, why I'm showing this one is, Y is an output, and output is a function of various input factors, X factors. So if X factors are good, and the function, a process is capable, then definitely the output is good quality product. If inputs are good and process is capable, then definitely the output will be good output, satisfied output. So inputs means from the various suppliers, raw materials, consumables, packing materials, spares, components, services, all those are inputs. Those are applied into the function, then output. Okay. Then input, when the process we're calling about, process has required certain inputs. Those inputs are being supplied by the suppliers. So why I'm talking this is the supplier's quality importance. So supplier supplies the input that goes into the process. Then there's an output. Output is being supplied to the customers. So generally we call it the SIPOC model. SIPOC means SIPOC, SIPOC. SIPOC, SIPOC model we call it. So it is a very finer model to understand about who are the major our suppliers, one side, other side the customers. And in between, of course, what are the inputs and what are the outputs and what are the process related parameters. So as I told you, quality, the output quality very much dependent on the input parameters or input suppliers. And those suppliers are supplied by the suppliers. So suppliers' quality is impacted directly to the output. And as a result, our customers, means our customers, their sales and our sales, our profits, our market value, brand image, and all these things depends upon the supplier's quality. Okay, the automobile recalls also I told you why it is happening, and regularly it is happening, despite we call it the automobile industry is the best of the best practices, quality related or other good practices they're adopting. Despite all of this, and they're also targeting for the 6 sigma. 6 sigma means 3.4 defects per million opportunities. Suppose your output is say 1 million, means 10 lakhs. And out of those, if you test it, less than 3.4 mistake has to come. Then they qualify as a 6 sigma. And most of the automobile industries aspire and are striving for the 6 sigma. But look at the car recalls. Okay. So going forward, so I have given the importance of the what is the supplier's quality requirements. Just I have given some insight. So now let us discuss what is the supplier's quality. Quality is, many quality gurus are defined, is a very simple, is meeting the requirements is a quality. If whatever you are delivered, it meets your customer's requirement and customer is satisfied, then it's a quality. Then various other dimensions of the quality is there. Some of them calls about if the some of the standards or specifications are met, then it's a quality. Quality means no defects. Okay. Then meeting the expectation and needs to satisfy the customers. So these are the quality. So now we are talking of the supplier's quality. Supplier's quality means in the supply chain, supplier is one of the major contributor for the value and also for the continuity of the business. And from the suppliers, the inputs comes, we make the purchases. Then in the process, as I explained to you, there's a production. Then the output, where we deliver to the customer to fulfill the customer's requirements or the customer orders. So this is how the in supply chain it happens. As per the American Society of Quality, ESQ, quality is defined as a totality of the features and characteristics of a product or service that bear its ability to satisfy the given needs. This is the quality. Of course, as I told you, quality is very simple, like meeting the requirements. Then the supplier's quality they defined as the supplier's ability to deliver goods or services that will satisfy the customer's needs. So that is a defined as supplier's quality. Further, I will explain to you the same definition I'm taking forward. Supplier's quality is supplier's ability to deliver goods or services that satisfy customers' needs. Here, three phrases are used. One is the supplier's ability. Supplier's ability means it is a supplier's competence plus capacity, and it's these two combinedly we call it generally capability. So ability is a broader term that includes the supplier's capability. Capability means competence as well as the capacity. Of course, we are not going to define each of them again because given short time. So let us move further. Then to deliver the goods or services means it is about the delivery performance we are talking about. One is about the supplier's ability, the other side delivery performance. Then about evolution, value we are delivering to the customer. And what is the value? Value means, in fact, there are three aspects of the value. One is about value means what the customer is paying. It is audible. Somebody is told not audible. Hello. Hello.
So you are audible, sir. You can proceed.
Somebody is written in a chat box that not audible. That is why. Okay, sorry.
It's audible.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, it's audible.
So quality, the value means what is the customer valuing the product or deliverables. Value has a three dimensions. One is about what the customer is paying is a value. Second is what the inputs have been converted into output, means there is a transformation or conversion we call it. Then the third dimension of the value is first time right. First time right means without any mistakes or defects, errors. First time you are delivering right products or services, so that there will not be any wastage of the modification, repairs or modification means of corrections. That will not happen. The first time itself you have to deliver. So that is a value. Okay. Now comes to the supplier's management, quality management. Supplier's quality we understood. Now supplier's quality management is a proactive and collaborative approach to supplier's quality to monitor supply chains. So that is what they defined it. Supplier's quality management. Quality management is always about the planning, coordinating, executing, monitoring, and controlling. That is general definition of all across. We know, everybody knows it. So here also we are about the quality, supplier's quality management we are talking about. So first is supplier's plan for the supplier's assessment, assurance, and selection processes comes on the first phase of that. That means first we have to assess the right suppliers. If any rights and the supplier selection is not done well, means that care is not taken properly, then that may lead later on a lot of disaster, like I shown to you some of the examples. So that can happen. So always first aspect is about the supplier's assessment. First we have to make the certain criteria based. What are the criteria? Some of the examples I'll show you later. Then about the acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria means once the suppliers make a deliverables, that delivers, there must be some quality criteria based on which we can accept it or reject it. Then about the performance evaluation, means post facto evaluation of the vendors. So that is a continuous process of evaluating to based on the performance, we can rate them accordingly. We may prefer the customer, suppliers accordingly, right? One example I'll tell you on the assessment part, on the supplier's delivery performance we are talking about. Suppose there is a delivery, let's say you wanted 100 items, but he has delivered say 93 items. What will happen? Suppose you want 100, that meets your requirement for the production, but he has supplied only 93. 7 short. 7 short means to that extent, to make the continuity of your process or production, either you have to increase your levels of inventory, or you have to slow down your production, or certain times you have to close it, shut down your production. If not available, the shortage happens. So this is one part of the suppliers delivery in full we are talking about. Means if it's not short, then what is the impact I talked. Then delivery on time. If suppose they're not delivered in time, so today you wanted the delivery, but they're not delivered today, but 2 days later they're delivering. To that extent, 2 days late means to the requirement of the 2 days to run your continuity of the production, you require to that extent inventory. Means we have to boost up the inventory, which is again a locking up of your capital and lot of resources. That involves a lot of cost. Okay. Now, for example, he has supplied 100 items. Means all the other fulfillments are done, but he has made certain rejections. Means wrong supply happened. Some rejection happens at 1%. Then to that extent, again, as I explained, it can impact your production, or you have to increase your inventory. So based on this, we call as a concept delivery in full and delivery on time minus the rejections. Then we call the term called as a supplier's default. Delivery in time and on full. So delivery in full and on time, that is the default we call. Otherwise also we call as on time and in full. Okay. This is one side we are talking about the quantity. Then we are talking about the lead time. And also we are talking about the quality. These three parameters we have taken. Based on this, this is the model is developed. Generally, here in this case, you see, though it looks like your delivery in full is 93%, then delivery on time is 95%. Of course, with a rejection of 1%, if you see the default the calculation, it comes to just 87.35%. Generally, good organizations, they keep 95 and above. And some organizations even tighterly, they keep at 98 and 99 like that they keep. That is the required. So automobile industries, those who are working on the just-in-time concept, generally operate in that levels. How that can be achieved? One of the concept is they make the satellite units across the any of the automobile industry you see. Around the automobile industry, the prime means major assembler, and many other suppliers are there, like satellite units. We call it ancillary units. And there is a quality, ekdam tight quality at the supplier's end. As per the requirement, very frequently they've been educated, the suppliers have been educated about the requirements, and tight controls have been exercised over the supplier side. And they don't want any inspection. Inspection is a wasteful exercise because it is a post facto. Already somebody supplied and it comes to your place and you're making inspection. It's a wasteful exercise. There you have to keep somewhere in the stores, then somebody has to engage with the inspections. And if it's rejected, all the resources consumed till that point is a waste. So therefore, the automobile industry, majorly like Toyota, like companies where they're following the just-in-time rigorously, they don't encourage this type of inspections. The supplier place inspection they encourage. Suppliers education, suppliers quality parameters, constantly they monitor at the supplier's end, so that suppliers will not make any defects. And when it comes directly, just-in-time means they will not allow even the 1 day before it comes at the gate. Just when it is required at the assembly, it directly comes and goes to the assembly line. And there will not be any store. And warehouse and storing is again, they feel it is a waste. One of the seven waste from the Toyota production system, and later, of course, another waste is added. So now it is 8 waste, we call it. Generally, it has been abbreviated as downtime. Downtime means D means the defects, O means overproduction, then W means waiting time, then N means non-utilization of the talent. That is down. Then time is One is the transportation, then I is inventory, M is motion, and E is excess processing. So these generally called as a downtime. All this downtime is 8 are called as a waste. It is not creating any value to the customer. So those has to be removed. And what is one of the aspects the automobile industry adopt is supplier sent inspection, so that they ensure the quality of the supplier. They don't want any inspection related at the assembly line. Okay. So in this case, of course, as I already explained to you, if there is any means the default is low levels, then unnecessarily there is a cost involved in terms of the higher inventory, and otherwise the slowdown of your production or shutdown, or the customers you can't, maybe may not be able to deliver it in time. So that is what it is a loss. Now let us move to cost of quality is also related to the quality, because we are talking about the quality aspect. And if the customer quality is not good, then what could be the consequences? Let us understand through cost of quality. Cost of quality is please share your screen. The screen is already shared, no sir. Who is not seeing? Somebody told us please share the screen. Screen is visible to all of you?
Yes, sir, your screen is visible, sir.
Okay, okay. Because in between somebody is making this comment, so that's why I worried. So this cost of quality is about the one article was published in Harvard Business Review in 1956 by Armand V. Feigenbaum, and followed by another article, another book is published by Philip B. Crosby. He is a quality guru, well-known quality guru of Japan. And there first time they talked about the cost of quality. Cost of quality has two aspects. One is the cost of good quality, and the cost of bad quality or poor quality. Means cost of conformance and cost of non-conformance. Cost of conformance means to maintain the cost quality, you have to incur certain costs like adopting the good practices, institutionalizing the good standardization of the specifications, quality plans, or any of the inspections like quality inspection or certifications, ISO certification and other certifications. So these also require certain cost. The other aspect of it is appraisal cost. Appraisal means, for example, inspection, incoming raw material inspection, or in-process inspection, or this finished goods inspection, or the calibration, or auditing, or vendor place auditing, vendor rating. So all this incur certain costs. Those are called appraisal cost. And the other part of the cost means these two, prevention cost and appraisal cost, forms a part of the cost of good quality, that is to maintain the good quality. Then cost of poor quality, on the other hand, is something went wrong and your inspectors, for example, identified before it is leaving to the customer. That is internal failure cost, it has been called. But when you made something, produced something wrong or defective or errors are generated, that requires certain rectification, repairs or modifications, that incurs a cost. That cost is called internal failure cost. Then external failure cost means it slipped from your quality inspectors and it went to the customer and customer has rejected. And it comes back to you, or you are incur a lot of amount toward either discounting or getting back, or you get the orders are cancelled by the customer. So these are called external failure cost. Similarly, the warranty cost also is a part of the external failure cost. So these also impacting your supplies, because these are all again part of the cost related, supplies related cost. For example, input costs are there, part of your cost. And of course, if you make more of the investment in the cost of conformance, means you are adopting good practices, establishing quality planning and policies, and you are ensuring your inputs from the customer, means suppliers are right products and meeting the standards. consistently. That is very important. It's not like one time or sometime it is being delivered, but consistently it has to deliver at right quality and right time, like all these things I told you. And there are 10 R's are there. Later I will tell you what are the 10 R's. So all these things are confirmed, then it is a good, there also certain investment you have to make, but these investments much lesser than consequential in your cost. Consequential cost means something happened, non-performance, poor quality, like internal failure cost or external failure cost are very high. Whereas if you invest on cost of good quality or the conformance cost, there it will reduce the many of the non-conformance related costs. Okay. Therefore, we have to invest a lot on the supplier's assessment of the supply. Generally, we call it risk assessment. And these are, many people are using many terminologies. Supplier's rating, we call it, supplier's assessment, we call it, supplier's selection process, criteria based, we call it, many times are there. Nowadays, because of the risk is involved very much associated with this suppliers aspects, supplies. So therefore, nowadays people are calling in a broad way as a part of the entire business aspect, risk assessment we are talking about, business risk assessment. There the suppliers risk also one of the major risk factor. As per the Allianz Global Corporate and the Specialty, AGCS, the top 10 business risks they have found out in 2021, there they made one of the major risks is supply chain disruptions. Supply chain disruptions as the one of the major risk they call it. And here again they're talking about the supplies related inbound supplies and its problems that described it. And recent, of course, everybody knows about the corona and various other factors also there. Otherwise also, this is reflecting always at the top of the 10, means in the 10 of the major business risks, the supply related risks are reflecting. And also DHL, every once in 2 years, they make the report on the resilience 360. There also they talked about fragile supply is ranked as the second largest supply chain risk. So these risk factors, of course, various factors are there. I'm skipping because time is limited. I will go to some other important aspect. About the competitive advantage of your business, for that also suppliers cooperation and right supplier selection and its quality is very essential. For the competitive advantage, there are two factors are there, two competitive advantages. One is the cost advantage, then otherwise differentiation advantage. The cost advantage means similar product, but at the lower cost. How the lower cost is possible? When your suppliers also means you are getting the supplies at the competitive prices, then the cost advantage can be possible. How you can get? From the suppliers you have to get. And how you have to get from the suppliers? You have to also ensure the suppliers are continuously improving their operations and cost reduction measures are being taken and right quality parameters they're adopting so that there will not be any wastage. Like I told you, after the production something goes wrong, like internal failure costs or external failure costs are very costly. So those if you reduce, then definitely your products will be cheaper, competitive. Okay, so that cost advantage can be achieved if you have encouraged properly the suppliers and their quality. Then similarly, premium means price premium for the unique or differentiated products. How you can achieve? Again, involving the customers, the suppliers. From the new product development at the initial stages also you engage them and engage them as a partners of your supply chain, then definitely this differentiation advantage also you can get. Okay. Of course, others I'm skipping. Yes, time is going off. Now I'm going for about the roadmap, how to go about the. One is about the strategy you have to develop. Strategy is understand your business environment and map your business process. What are the process like? What are the all inputs and what are the suppliers? Like SIPOC is one of the models generally people are using. and various other models are there that gives the broader high level depiction of the your visualization. So you had to make the process. Certain times other mapping also they're used, and then identify the key input requirements from the CPOC model. Of course, you can identify the key inputs. Then also you have to do the spend analysis and also critical items analysis. So generally, you may be hundreds of thousands of suppliers. All the suppliers, it's not possible to make that assessment. So you have to pick up the high your high spend high value, high spend suppliers, that items and their suppliers, that has to be identified. That is one of the major input. Then categorize it, classify into multiple suppliers. Then of course you have to create an evolution model for the how to select the suppliers. Okay. That I will show you in the subsequent slide, how to some of the parameters I will explain to you. Then about the design. Design means you have to engage the senior leadership generally. That is very essential, because if they have the support, then all the your initiatives will be successful. If the top management is not cooperating and non-supporting, then best of the best, your proposals also goes down. Very difficult to implement. So engage the top management, establish performance indicators, the criteria and other things that I will explain. What are the KPIs for the suppliers? We are talking about supplier side. And define scoring system or model. Scoring model, what is that? I will explain to you. Then of course, implementation based on this your scoring model. Now you establish the executive team and implement the enterprise-wise, because generally it is not like one department, like it is enterprise-wise. You have to see into the quality is not just at the inspectors in the stores or warehouse and its related inspectors, they inspect yes or no, like no, because it has a certain consequential results also there. Entire chain we have to understand. So that is why if you involve entire chain, all the value related, all the departments, then it's good. Determine who is in charge, then provide training, execute live on, and based on the criteria, of course, you have to evaluate. Then of course, the last is control. It's not design, of course, sorry, it is control. Control means as per our desired parameters, the execution, what they have done, the supplier's execution performance, whether it is meeting our requirements or not. And certain times not meeting, then we have to trigger for the corrective actions from the supplier's end, improvements actions. Certain times we call it CAPA, means corrective action and preventive actions. That is not suffix actually, it is a post facto, but we have to ensure the establishment of the preventive measures in the supplier side from the quality angle, from the various aspects. Quality doesn't mean only product quality or the service quality, that I don't mean. The quality means it quality in many other aspects also. For example, a documentation is wrong, means they delivered the right product, it is accepted, but the document is, for example, certain mistakes are there. Either item description or the value or other price or whatever may be, or even GST number is not properly mentioned there. That is also non-compliance. Okay, you can't take to that extent the ITC input tax credit. So the quality doesn't mean only the product quality or service quality, means various other aspects also involved, like examples I'm showing. Suppliers assessment types, on what models you have to accept, like input indicators and output indicators, various factors are there. That is what the KPIs you have to design based on your particular industry. Then leading indicators and lagging indicators also. The leading indicators mean it is about the futuristic, means in future what we want to achieve or what we want to target. That is the leading indicators. Lagging means current performance. Then qualitative, certain times quantitative. Quantitative figures always may not be available. Then certain times we have to shift to subject to indicators. Those are qualitative. Then process indicator, finance related indicator, risk indicators, like various process of indicators are there. Then of course, first we are talking about the initial stages itself. that is the first risk factor is emerging from the right selection and wrong selection of your supplier. If you are taking the right supplier, then many things will be smooth. Otherwise, you are encountering the difficulties from the day one. So onboarding the suppliers is one of the greatest means from first process to initiate about the suppliers quality management, right? Then suppliers alignment of the policy and strategy related aspects, because certain times you have to assess. It is not about the product assessment, means that's what they supplied, whether it's accepted or rejected, but we have to assess whether they have the capabilities, the capacity, the competencies there or not. If that is not there, that we have to encourage them to adopt. So that is where the first assessment we have to do, that alignment of the policy and strategy. That is one aspect we have to do. Vendors pre-qualification based on certain criteria, and then suppliers evaluation and selections. Then of course, after the supplier is selected, then contractual administration, means its performance, then performance evaluation, then about continuous improvement that has to be looked into. It's not like one time, every time you want to make the improvement aspects, continuous improvement. Then of course, source selection, some of the criteria based how we have to go, determine the criteria. What are the criteria? Some of the examples I'll show you. It's not that always it is same criteria. It depends upon the business to business. So then identifying the source of the potential suppliers whom you have to assess. Shortlist suppliers based on the first criteria, the first selection criteria done. Then again, the second phase, again you have to do. Determine the methodology and assess and evaluate the suppliers. Then qualified suppliers, that is a pre-qualified suppliers, you have to make it and continue with this exercise. Then first is, as again talking about, identify the criteria, then assign the weightage. That is the steps I'm telling you how to make the scoring model or the criteria based assessment. First you have to identify the criteria, then assign some value to each of the criteria, then assign a value to each of the vendor based on the scale, because it's a qualitative assessment. Quantitative is not possible. Qualitatively we can do it. So assessment can be on the base of the, say, scale, a 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. Example, I have taken 1 to 5, for example. Then multiply this assigned value with the corresponding weightage against each of the vendors. Then sum it up to get this total score. Who has get the largest, higher score is a better vendor. So select that vendor. So this is how the vendor selection based on certain criteria generally it has been done. Example I show you.
A scoring model is a project management technique used for weighing certain decisions, such as selecting a vendor, which uses numerical scoring to rank the vendors. To create a weighted scoring model, the following steps are applied. Identify the criteria important to the decision process.
Assign a weight to each criterion based on its relative importance in the decision.
Assign numerical value to each criterion for all of the options, vendors being considered. Calculate the weighted scores by multiplying the weight for each criterion by its value and adding the resulting scores. Ranking is done based on total score of each of the vendor. Final selection of vendor is made based on highest total
score. So this is how generally the model is being adopted. Some of the criteria, as an example I've shown, but many other criteria you can use. For means in the procurement, the cycle starts first with the requirement assessment. Means the user department generally identify the requirement. Then writing the specification is very important criteria, first criteria. Otherwise, many of the litigations, many of the failures are happens because of the specifications. The specifications are not properly incorporating the proper aspects of the, for example, requirements. Means all the requirements are not being specified. What are the inclusions, what are the exclusions are not there. Then definitely that is leads the first point of dispute, and the quality related litigations also starts. So writing the specifications is very important. Then of course PR and all thing can raise, that is internal process. Then procurement decisions can be taken in the procurement department, right? Procurement method they adopt. Then source identification, of course, pre-qualification of the vendors is one of the major good practice. We will not adopt for the low price alone, but first we have to screen the vendors based on the pre-qualifications. Only vendors are being selected. Then inviting the bids, RFI, RFP, RFQ, like that, various bid processes are there. Then negotiation that doesn't mean only the price, but various other factors. One of the factors is, of course, the quality. Then, of course, selecting the vendors or the suppliers, then awarding the contract. Then contract management, administration, its execution. Then, of course, fulfillment of the completed, the contract closure happens, means it is delivered as per the contractual terms. Then contract closure happens. This is the process generally we use it. Of course, I'm going a little bit fast because time is short. So therefore, I'm making a little bit fast, but some of the major key aspect essence, I will tell you. Some of the model in this scoring model, some of the factors are some of the criteria what we are using is about the delivery, for example. Delivery is the type of delivery speed, or on-time delivery, or fill rate, or the flexibility, cycle time, or lead time, responsiveness. These are the delivery related parameters. Similarly, quality related, these are the parameters. Then cost related. And ethics and compliance is also, nowadays, most of the assessment, when the vendor assessments are being done, we are taking into the social factors also. Otherwise, certain times, social non-compliance on various aspects, social responsibility related aspects also has to be taken into consideration for assessing the suppliers. And of course, various other legal compliances like taxation, like GST related, income tax related, all these aspects also we have to see. Then, of course, growth and outlook and differential future related, how they are supporting the new product development or the value creation, continuous improvement, or some innovations, so ideations. And of course, business support, cooperation, communication related, collaboration, reciprocal arrangement, all these things are. So these are the some of the factors. Based on that, of course, you can make the suppliers assessment, but some may be subjective factors, like for example, cooperation or communication, collaboration. Measurement is difficult. These are subjective sometimes, but certain other factors like delivery factors, quality factors, cost factors can be have a quantitative definitions. So these are again about the contracts fulfillment, for example, then scope related, whether complete in all respect of the scope, in respect of the quality, schedule means timelines, and the cost factors, of course, within the cost they made or any cost escalations are there, and compliance related. So this model also some people are uses about the contractual fulfillment. And some other, like as I told you, there's the quality, delivery, and cost. These are the very prominent key factors which can be measured with objective figures. And so some numerical figures we can identify, and definitely we can do the measurements. So some of them I will explain to you. These are the some of them. For example, quality related, some of the KPIs you call it, the assessment factors or indicators you can call it. So like this is about the quality. Of course, each of them I can't go because of the time constraint. Then again, delivery performance indices also like this. Some of them are like this. Okay. Okay. Then cost related performance indicators like this.
Procurement 10 hours. The success of any business activity is largely dependent on the procurement from right source, of right quality,
and right quantity,
at right price, at right time, at right place, also right service,
and right delivery mode,
enter into right contractual agreement,
and establish right relationships.
These are popularly called as 10 hours of efficient and effective procurement process.
So suppliers have been generally taken on this 10 hours basis. Assessment also been done. For each of the hour, you have to make certain proper index or proper criteria you have to design. Accordingly, you can assess and measure it. Then suppliers management best practices. Some of them let us understand. One is about the quality policy must be there in your company, and also you have to ensure the corresponding your customer and the supplier's place also, that quality policy must be there. Their outlook, that vision must be there about the serving with good quality consistently. Then about the suppliers pre-qualification, as I told you, some based on certain criteria, we can do the pre-qualification of the suppliers. And suppliers quality and specifications management. Of course, here it is about the quality criteria specific to the products and other thing, more detailed, of course. Then early suppliers involvement in product development and other thing also very essential for the continuity of the future related, all the quality related parameters and other thing. They know better because they are the suppliers. They have the knowledgeable people in that field of their supplies. So we have to take their consent and advice also. So vendor selection and other thing, as I told you, contract management and order fulfillment. That is one part of the till that the orders are placed and fulfilled. Orders are fulfilled and closed orders. Then other side, pre and post delivery quality checks. Pre means at the supplier's end we have to check about. It is not like always it is a post delivery. We have the inspectors in our place and we have to try the inspections, acceptance and rejections. Then is rejections, then again sending back. These are all costly affairs. So we have to ensure the supplier side itself, that is the right products are being delivered. Then of course, P2P means that purchase to pay or procurement to pay. That process has to be properly defined at each of the stages. What are the lead times and other thing also may certain times means lead to the certain waste. Means waiting time. Waiting time in any of the processes is a waste. As I told you, there is 8 waste. One of them is waiting time. So in the process also should not be any waiting time. And those criteria for the selection also, for example, negotiation, on what parameters and what basis we have to negotiate, those things very clear. And of course, about the supplier scorecard, some of the factors I told you. Further, I will explain to you. Based on the risk assessment also you have to do. Then suppliers long-term relationship has to be established. Then continuity of the suppliers will be more. Then consistency and consistently good quality is required for any of the business for the long-term growth. Okay, continuous improvement, of course. So these are the best practices for the SQM. Then guiding principles of the suppliers policy. Some of them fast I'm taking out. These are the some of the factors we can consider about. Okay. Then 10 C's, this is the model I have developed. This is the copyright of my model. And this 10 C's means these are the 10 C's you see about the one is the customer focus. Then commitment, dedication, and engagement of the suppliers has to be ensured. That is one of the major aspects. What is we have placed that commitment means delivering in right time, right quantity, right quality. That must be commitment. Dedication to engagements. So of course, culture of the organization also in most of the factors we have seen, and most of the surveys also we found that organization culture is affecting most of that outlook, the management outlook, and corresponding that supplies. Maybe sometimes they supply early stages very nice, good supply. Then of course they come back, and then some in between there mix of the bad qualities. So that is also outlook how the management it is. Then about the competency, competitiveness, and capacity. Competency and the capacity also I told. Ability I told as a result of the capacity and of the competency is an ability. And competitiveness in terms of the price or in terms of the cost or in terms of the quality also, or differentiation. Some of the examples I shown to you. And creativity, of course, continuous improvement. Always the creativity is required, generating new ideas for the improvement. It is not like one time we did excellent job and that may be outdated after few years or few months or few days even. So compliance related, of course, legal compliances, standards are there, quality parameters are there, or some environmental regulations are there. All those things we have to comply. So there must be some internal controls must be there. And then credentials, of course, the performance not only for you, but many other also what the performance in the industry, general, the reputation. Then consent, consensus, agreements, anytime some deviation changes are there, how they're coming forward for that agreements. Then cost and financial of the organization also one of the major factor we have to look into. Then about the communication, of course, very important. Constant through communication only many of the disputes, many of the conflicts, differences can be bridged. And through communication only improvements are possible. So this is the model, 10C model of SQM. So with this, of course, the time is just off. So I don't want to escalate further to make some more discussion, but some time we can discuss about interactions. If anybody has any doubts and other thing, can write in the chat box, or otherwise we can discuss. Yes, sir.
This recording will be shared, right?
Pardon, sir? That
Recording
organizers may be recording, I don't know, because I'm only like a faculty come forward. But I don't know whether the organizers are sharing or not.
Okay. Are there in this meeting? No. Can we ask them?
Yeah.
Organizers are there in this meeting. Can we ask them?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can get access to this information, which is also getting live, sir. So you can get this access.
The recording and the PPTs.
Yes, sure, sir. Sure, sir. It will be available, sir.
Okay.
Do we need to share an email ID or how it is?
Sir, I'll update you. You can keep your question inside the chat box, sir. Then I can update you further.
Fine.
How we can get it to you. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Fine, sir. Anybody has any doubts or any questions or interactions you want to discuss with me? And of course, how you're feeling, it is good, bad, or waste of the time, 1 hour. It is your choice, because you're my customers. So you can tell whatever you want. Yes, sir. How you felt about the presentation? Is useful? Knowledgeable?
Yes, sir, it is. Definitely. It was with so much of clarity. And it was really thrilling to see, like, you touched the most historical disasters to the very futuristic approaches to not repeat these mistakes. So, yes, sir, it was very informative and yet with so much of clarity. Is there any further questions? Who is willing to ask?
Good evening. This is Purushottam Khandelwal, Mr. Panigrahi.
Yes, sir. Namaskar, sir. Namaskar,
sir. Namaskar. So thank you very much for your time, and you gave us a lot of good insight about this topic, and definitely it has helped our participants to gain good knowledge about the quality management and procurement process. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Just one person, Mr. Ramesh Reddy has asked some question. Just I will clarify with your permission. And he's talking about just-in-time model is applicable or not. Just-in-time, in fact, is a very beautiful model and adopted by many of the organizations across the world. But recent time, it has been challenged because of the various environmental factors have changed. Just-in-time is not possible in that environment, so it is challenged. But with the modifications, reframing just-in-time, that model is again we can make, because no model is sustainable for over longer periods. This model is 1950s model, but it is sustained for a long years, but now needs little bit reframing. So that way, of course, one of the sessions we have conducted recently in Hyderabad, the IIMM, on the reframing just-in-time. Of course, there the Mr. Balaji of Toshiba, Japan, he has addressed the audience. So we are talking about the reframing, not the scrapping of this model, but reframing is possible. And based on the industry specific requirements is risk assessment. That is what now the risk assessment is emerged as a major criteria for the business sustenance. So that is how it has been talked about.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy Garu.
Sir, this side Dr. Kritika Tikwani from Nirwan University. It was very nice session, and all the concepts of the supply chain management, and you have also talked about the taxation GST. It was very informative session. So thank you so much, sir. Really, thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
If any participant wants to ask any query, then they can raise their hand.
Hello, to whom I have to send my details for the recording and the PPT? Whom I have to ping in the chat?
Sir, we have received your mail ID, and sir, I will be taken care of this, sir. Thank you.
Fine. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, the session is very informative,
yes,
and yeah.
Yes,
thank
it
you,
is.
Panigrahi.
Thank
Thank you for
you,
your.
Hi, sir. This is Vishwa. I'm from procurement in Airlines and Life Sciences. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can I have one query on this? If there is a lot of pending deliveries from the suppliers right now, it is due to some of the issues. What are the COVID factors or whatever it is? Whether this by the scorecard we can pull them with the better delivery timelines.
Yes, sir. That is score.
Yes, some of the vendors are making the as a monopoly market and also artificial scarcity also. Can we make them also in line with this scorecard?
Yes, sir, definitely you can do it, because at the present situation, for example, lot of challenges are there for the timely deliveries because of various external factors are operating. External factors are not within your control or the supplier's control. So, for example, lockdown, what the suppliers, though he is ready to supply, but he is unable to supply because of the lockdown. The transportation is not possible. Like that, such a conditions are there. Then again, we have to renegotiate about our contractual agreements. It's not like sometime back he has committed within 30 days, and now also it is possible or not. It's very difficult to say it like that, because it's changing the environment because of the various constraints beyond the suppliers controls. Then we have to reassess our model. Model means that extending the timelines, for example, so that again he has to meet that timelines. Our timeline, for example, 30 days to delivery, and is not possible, then revise the contract, maybe 45 days delivery. Then definitely comes to meet our requirements. Then delivery in time, that factor can be met. Otherwise, always we're failing that supplier, though he is not at fault, then supplier demotivated, because he will not means it is not his means a mistake, but something external factors are controlled. Okay. Good, sir. Next.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thanks.
Okay, sir, we are winding up this session. Thank you for your presence and giving us your valuable time and this information, sir. We all are grateful from the organizers, participant side. I'm again thanking you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Especially Purushottam ji is invited me for this and given
Can
this
we have
opportunity.
a separate session on the scorecard in detail?
Why not, sir? You ask
Please.
the organizers. Definitely, I'm available.
Right.
Okay. Good.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.